discussion will be resolution.
The video and speakers recording.
Yep, we're on. I think we're good, Commissioner.
All right. Well, with that, I know that Amanda's in the office. I can see Keith and Clint and Commissioner Peck and myself are remote. So with that, it is a special meeting to discuss a resolution allowing us to open the county, or Franklin County, as a phase 1.5 with stipulations. Keith, could you recap for me?
Yes, certainly, Commissioner, happy to do that. As you know, and I hope most members of the public are aware, several weeks ago, we submitted an application to the State Department of Health as required by the governor's Stay Healthy initiative. That application was put on hold pending some further discussion between the Benton Franklin Health District, the counties, and local governments. Today, in a press conference, the governor announced that they have made some modifications to the requirements under the latest set of orders that will now allow Benton and Franklin counties to submit a revised application that will permit us to move into a modified phase 1. Some people refer to this as phase 1.5. It will allow businesses that have not been considered essential businesses that have been closed as a result of the COVID-19 orders of the governor will allow a partial opening of the county. And if I may just kind of review what some of those new openings are. Construction will be permitted as in phase 2 guidance, manufacturing as permitted in phase 2 guidance. Restaurants will be allowed to open outdoor seating up to 50% of their existing outdoor capacity. In-store retail at 15% of their indoor capacity, with indoor activities limited to 30 minutes. Personal services will be allowed to open at 25% of their indoor capacity. Pet grooming at also 25% of their indoor capacity. Continuing no gatherings with people outside of the household except for small behavioral health support groups of less than 5 people. There are some additional requirements in the nature of communication between the health district and the State Department of Health in continuous monitoring. One of those is making sure that we are monitoring the use of masks or face coverings in the community. That initiative has already begun and is ongoing. And the name of the new application to the state is titled The Roadmap to Recovery, Benton and Franklin Counties. That is the item that's on the agenda for you to consider as a resolution. Procedurally, what would happen, the Benton Franklin Health District did approve that at their special board meeting today. And now it is a function of each board of commissioners, both Benton and Franklin County, to separately approve or reject that roadmap. Assuming you approve it, then as immediately upon adjournment of this meeting, I will submit it to the Secretary of Health for consideration. The understanding that I have is that it can go into effect at midnight tonight. The businesses that have been closed but will allowed to be open, one of the things they must do under this new plan is to submit a pledge that they will follow certain COVID restrictions within their businesses, that they will require their customers to wear masks, for example. They have to document their willingness to comply with that and submit that to the county. We do not review and approve that, but we have set up an email address by which they can submit that document. We've also worked out an arrangement with the treasurer's office to use their drop box out here at the courthouse parking lot to accept paper documents, in which local businesses could drop them off if they don't want to use the email version. The form for that pledge is available at the State Department of Health's website. And so, like I said, procedurally, that's what would happen is we would initiate that process by which businesses could now open, submit their pledges, and then open their doors under these restrictions. I would expect a press release to go out immediately as well to announce the outcome of today's discussion and vote.
Questions, commissioners?
Chairman Cook, if we may, I'd like to say the Pledge of Allegiance before we get into a discussion. We have that on the agenda and we didn't do it.
I'm sorry, I didn't have an agenda, so it got past me. I do agree. So you would lead it?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So,
Thank you.
you bet.
Like I said, agenda for me, it got past me. Thank you.
You betcha. Hey, I've got some few things here I want to discuss about this, and I know we just had our Board of Health meeting, but Commissioner Peck was not in there on the first discussion, so he didn't get to hear much of what I had to say. Roadmap to Recovery. I like the title. Sounds good. As I read through this, the state has promised Benton and Franklin County 2.3, or Benton and Franklin County Health Department 2.3 million if we sign on to this. I'm reading through it, and it also gives $1 million for incentives to, I guess, pay people to stay home if they test positive, is what I gathered from the little bit of the reading I'm reading out of this. But it also goes into agriculture. If they get 2 or more cases, then every person in the facility has to be tested, which means that'll be a shutdown of our processing plants. I'm all for saving lives, but the last day we lost 2 people to COVID, and we lost 2 people over in there in the autonomous zone since they had that thing locked down. And I know that part of life is death. None of us are going to get out of here alive. And I don't want to belittle anybody dying from COVID, but it's long overweighed its crisis point here. We don't have this pandemic that they're claiming we have. And as I read through this, I can just see that we have just granted this governor, who is acting tyrannical, more power. And all I got to read is just this last paragraph after the governor's press conference on July 2nd. And as it decided by each county, the following businesses may reopen under the following parameters if adequate progress is made on the above required activities. Now, I got to go back to the paper. We're having more and more cases every day. So as soon as we sign on to this, he's got the authority to, in the last paragraph, if hospitalizations of COVID-19 significantly increase throughout the course of implementing this plan, the state will consider a strict lockdown of your county, including closure of nearly all businesses. D, under this thing, D, in-store retail at 15% indoor capacity with indoor activities limited to 30 minutes. I want to know, does that apply to Lowe's and Walmart? Is that going to apply to every in-store retail at 15% indoor capacity? If that applies to everyone equally, I would say then we've got a level playing field. If Lowe's and Walmart they don't have to live by these guidelines, and what are we doing here to our other businesses?
I don't know how to answer that except for the fact that Walmart and Lowe's have been open at Essentials since it started. So, that's the thing. Further question?
I think that's about all I have to say, but I'm not in favor of this.
So Commissioner Cook, Commissioner Peck here, with respect to the governor's authority, irrespective of what this plan may or may not say, under the law, he's got the authority to close things down in the public interest anytime. So this plan is not granting him any special authority that he doesn't already have. It reads to me as more of a cautionary note that if we don't keep our numbers down, he very well may do that. And I think it's pretty well established at this point that he has the authority to do so. With respect to the second point, in other businesses, I don't support an uneven playing field either. The governor has declared some businesses as essential, including those that sell food products. This is going to expand that to include retail businesses that are not on that list of essential businesses. We could, I'm sure, have a spirited debate about what really should and shouldn't be essential. But I will just offer that this opens more businesses than we currently have, and it's moving in the right direction. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So if there's no further comments, I would entertain a motion for resolution number 2020-45.
So, Mr. Chairman, recognizing that this may not be the perfect roadmap that we would like to see, but it represents the input from a lot of different interests, and I think demonstrates some balance from the state perspective. Without these, I don't see the state allowing us to open these businesses. We've all had lengthy discussions about the fact that there are mostly unseen consequences, costs, harm from these businesses continuing to be closed, whether it's businesses closing, whether it's mental health challenges, increases in domestic violence, and other negative consequences, indirect as they may be. There's still consequences, and therefore I think there's adequate justification to get these businesses back open as soon as we can. And with that understanding, I would move for approval of resolution 2020-145.
Okay. I hear a second. I will second it with a discussion of, at least we're further ahead. The first thing I'd heard earlier in the week was they weren't going to allow us to even talk about it until the 6th. I think with some good discussion here the last couple of days, it's, a lot of businesses opened up before a maiden holiday, which hopefully will give them a boost after a 3-month shutdown. So I will second this and ask for a vote.
So, Mr. Chairman, before we vote, I'll just speak to the motion briefly. I think what changed this week was the governor meeting with hospital representatives, mayors of all the cities, commissioners from the 2 counties. I was appreciative of the invite from the governor's office to sit in on that meeting and represent our county. It was a good discussion. I had time to speak with him directly, gave him assurances that I would certainly do my part to try and encourage folks to wear masks and follow a responsible roadmap. I spent time on Kona Radio. I spent time visiting businesses doing these things as promised. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying that the governor is doing this because of those specific actions on my part. I'm saying he did this, I believe, because he saw a unified front from all the mayors and the county.
Mr. Chairman, let's be clear here. He hasn't granted anything yet. We haven't been given this yet. And I asked at the last commissioner meeting if anybody here had been given an invitation, and Mr. Cook was the only one that said he had. Why didn't you tell us then that you had an invitation, Commissioner Peck?
Because I've got no obligation to share that information with you, Commissioner Didier.
Okay. Well, I'm just curious because you didn't imply that you had an invitation, so I guess you wanted to keep it secret, huh?
I didn't think that it was a relevant topic at the time.
Very
Again,
relevant.
I'm not
Very
obligated
relevant.
to share that. Not obligated to share it with you. Thank you.
Oh, well, I hope you're obligated to share it from the people that put you in office. But Commissioner Cook, Chairman Cook, I would like to ask this question. Is there still the ability to have peaceful protests in Franklin and Benton counties?
I would think not, but I don't have the control over that.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman, are we still on our agenda?
We're waiting for a motion, pass a motion of 2020-145. We have a motion and a second. Ask for a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay, and if I might add with that, Chairman, until all businesses are treated equal, including Walmart and Lowe's with all the small businesses, I can't vote for this.
Yeah, understood. It passed 2-1, and I have to sign it in my stead, but I'll have to sign it in my stead. You voted nay, so you'll do that, Keith, with a note telephonically from me.
Okay, we can do that.
With that, I believe that's the end of our agenda.
Yes, sir. That concludes the posted agenda.
Okay. So that'll go out this afternoon yet, and I'm sure there's 25 people watching this, so I'm sure the news media's got a hold of it. So that'll go out, and then I see our email address is posted someplace on our website.
Yes. Yeah, there will be an email address specifically set up, and the press release will also contain that information.
All right.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, on the same subject, I about an hour ago asked the executive director of the Benton Franklin Health District to post on the Health District website links to any necessary plans, documents, so forth for businesses looking to open.
Hey, if there ain't nothing else, I think that finished our agenda. Thanks for your participation, and see you all soon.
Thank you.
We are